Listen out for an amazing show as we begin to see what you can do. For an open mic night of fun, as we see what topics come from you. Mousecast Podcast is diving in. Join us Tuesday nights for our live show. When we let the mind meet the magic, we can find out what you need to know. We know tonight will be out of sight, so let's kick off this open mic night.
And hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Hey, we are all here. We are back. It is open mic night. And I think I was just looking over here. We put out a post just before the show that we were concerned that maybe Facebook was not doing live. I can see us. We are live right now on both Facebook and YouTube. So good to hear that. Hey, it's open mic night. Guess what? That means you. That's right. You control the topics tonight. So join us, pop on in, share out that you're here on open mic night for Mousecast, and then pop into the chat your questions, comments, whatever you want to talk about. So want to say a huge welcome to Hawk, to Matt, and to Megan. Hey guys, welcome back to open mic night for September.
Thank you.
It's finally fall. I mean, just barely, but we're getting there.
Well, hey, look, I'm just saying, come to the mountains of Virginia. We actually saw, I actually had like temperatures in the 40s this morning. So, I mean, the trees are starting to turn a little orange. Matt, are you seeing that up your way?
Yeah, there's some that fall in my backyard, and I'm not happy about it, Chuck.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you guys had some tornadoes up that way.
We did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Well, Hawk has already agreed to do a quick New England refresher tour, so he'll come up and rake your yard for you. He's already agreed to do that.
Yeah, I'm parking the car right here in my yard. I ain't going up north.
That's right. So again, if you're watching us right now, pop in the chat your different questions. So we'll kick off just kind of a starter topic real quickly, just to kind of.
Well, do we have any news? Like Chuck, there
wasn't a whole.
You scour the blogs and vlogs.
Yeah, we did a lot of that news last week.
Tweets and X's and whatever the heck it is.
Hey, Tom is back. Says Tom, welcome back, Megan. We missed you. Hey, Tom, thanks
you
for being with us tonight. So, speaking of kind of based in a little bit of news here, kind of sort of, because there's not a lot of Disney news going on necessarily this week. We talked a lot last week about some of the news, although here is some news that we will share. So, we asked the Mousecast audience. It's like our own version of Family Feud. We asked our Mousecast audience, of all the Destination D announcements we talked about on last Tuesday's show, go back and listen to episode 88, which are you looking forward to most? And the Mousecast audience said at 58%, the Walt Disney animatronic added to the Carousel of Progress. 41% said they were looking forward to the paint colors on Cinderella Castle, and less than 1%, sorry Tron, they were interested in the Tron Ares overlay.
And I just have to say, after Chuck voted 58 times,
you can only vote once.
I'm just kidding.
Yep.
So I'm curious. We always talk Disney. We always talk theme parks, and we always kind of dive into stuff, but we don't talk about ourselves too often. And I think it might be a little fun to share something about us to the listeners that they may not know. So if listeners have a certain way they would like to ask a question,
sure,
that up. Otherwise, we will try to come up with some random tidbit about ourselves that we can share over the course of the show. Doesn't have to be right now, but at some point tonight. Matt, you're off the hook for the moment.
Okay, so before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, please get the lawyers on speed dial, because this feels like a TMI show tonight.
Yeah, Matt's going to text his wife to see what he has permission to say, and we're going to check that out. But mine will just yell from the other room.
As will mine.
If it's not, she'll scream and yell.
Yeah, she will.
No, I'm just kidding. Jen doesn't yell at anybody. She
will. Yeah.
But so we'll do something like that for the night. But I'd love to hear if anybody has questions about stuff.
Absolutely. So again, if you're watching right now, share out the fact that you're on open mic night here on Mousecast, and pop into the chat. And if you've got questions fire away. This could be about anything Disney related, Universal related, cruise line related, travel related, anything and everything when it comes to Orlando or whatever. That's right. It's open mic night. So,
So, all right, quick survey of everybody. Now that fall is coming, as Megan so kindly pointed out, and pumpkin spice is back. Who's a fan of pumpkin spice? I will say not it.
No.
I'll be the one that comes in and says that yes, I'm a pumpkin spice. Although I like the other flavors a little bit better. There's usually right now Starbucks has a pecan latte. Pecan, is it just pecan? It's
pecan latte or pecan latte crunch.
There we go.
Yeah, I've been told to order it a few times, so let's put it that way.
Good.
I'm sticking with my mushroom coffee. You guys have fun.
Yeah,
pumpkin needs to stay out of my beer. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah.
There you go.
No, we got to get you together with my husband because he's the beer guy.
Although I do have to admit, speaking of pumpkin, a pumpkin munchkin at Dunkin' Donuts was actually pretty good. I mean, it was pretty decent. So not too bad.
So speaking of beer, that's actually a good little topic right now because the new bar in Magic Kingdom has been opened.
Yes, Beacon Barrel.
And the reviews have been very mixed from what I've seen. I was a little surprised, to be honest. I thought there would be a little more, although I personally wasn't excited about it. It wasn't a big deal to me. I thought there would be a little more hoopla about it. And it seems that the Epcot Lounge is actually getting more positive reviews. Far
GO82, yeah.
Over Beacon Barrel. So, like, what do you guys think of that?
Well, again, go ahead, Megan.
I was just going to say, as far as there not being a lot of hoopla and all this stuff about Beacon Barrel, I think the fandom in the build up to some of these things decides we're going to make this sound like a really big deal. We're going to, poo-poo it online because they're bringing alcohol to Magic Kingdom. And the truth is, nobody really cares. And I think we actually said that a few weeks ago. Like, we make it out to be a bigger thing than it actually is. And then nobody really cares. These changes happen, whatever. But an adults-only lounge actually going in at Epcot, where it seems very appropriate too, if you're going to do that in one of the parks, that's actually something really different that we haven't seen as much of before, with the exclusion of children outside of some place at Disney World within the parks themselves. And so I think that it deserves a little bit more attention than Beacon Barrel. Beacon Barrel is a bar. It's there. Woohoo.
I thought it was interesting that they kind of are doing the same concept as Oga's too. Like you're on a time limit, you're in and out. They're trying to get people, and it's, I guess the show idea that kind of took place in it is a little bit of a letdown. I guess people seem like they build it as an interactive showcase, and it's kind of not. It's not what people were hoping for. And it concerns me a little that, Disney has missed the mark of expectation. And I think for years, Disney was such a wow factor that people have come to expect extremely high levels. And now those high levels just aren't always realistic, but people still have the expectation. And Disney's really facing a challenge right now for how to live up to the hype. I mean, Epic, to be honest, has kind of not lived up to the hype at some aspects. They're talking about annual passes being available in January. And I remember someone on this show said that probably would happen.
Wow,
and
I'm surprised at that, to be bluntly honest.
I won't stream.
Okay, Hawk.
But there's rumors that that's occurring. So, we're going to see if Epic actually does add the annual pass option. I'm anxious to see how they do it, too, if they sell it as a separate annual pass that you need to purchase, or if they are going to add it on to the Universal Pass, and how much does that become? Because this is an interesting dilemma, and this is kind of a good topic for people, actually, because where do you price point that? Because if you take a top tier 4-park pass at Magic Kingdom now for an out-of-stater is $1,500.
Yes, it is.
Little over. So you're looking
And
at.
then if you add, by the way, the photo pass on top of it, you're adding another like $150 on top of that.
I think
so.
they give it. Don't they do it for 99 if you add?
I thought it was a little bit more than that.
Maybe. Okay.
I'm getting ready to renew mine, so I'll tell you.
I'm not sure, to be honest. We always
Yeah.
just add it and don't really pay attention
Yeah.
to that. But the reality is, if you're at 1,500 for Disney's top tier pass, the current top tier pass at Universal is about $1,000,
And that's for 3 parks.
and that's no, that's for 2 parks.
Well,
You can add the water park. Add the
that's
water
true.
park,
That's right. That's right. That doesn't include the water park.
$100.
Yeah, the water. Yeah.
So like, but it's $1,000 right around there for 2 parks. Can they charge 1,500 to add Epic? Yes, I could say that could be justified, and I think a lot of people would pay it. But can they charge 500-600 independently for Epic and have people purchase? I'm not sure.
As like a separate annual pass just for Epic?
Yeah, because
I don't see them doing that.
I don't know, Chuck. I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of things that they've done recently that a lot of people wouldn't have expected.
I would expect them to do like a rolling, as you renew or as you get new, buy a new one, that you can just start
Okay.
to add Epic
But
into it.
so how do you add Epic because if they offer it to annual pass holders in January, this is going to be an interesting dilemma.
Right.
Because if your pass doesn't expire until June, can you prorate Epic for 6 months?
I could see them doing that.
Because people are going to want to do it. How do you do it? It's going to be interesting. What do you guys think on where the money would be? What do you see figures potentially at? I'm really curious because this is an interesting dilemma.
Well, it all depends on the price point. So again, it's roughly, let's call it 1,000 right now, just for ease of math, and that's $1,000 for 2 parks. Well, I mean, if you do the math, that's $500 a park. So if you're adding a third park, that's $1,500. Here we go, and you're at $1,500. I don't personally think they'll go quite that high, just because you're $1,500 for 3 versus Disney $1,500 for 4. We'll see. But the prorated, I think, wouldn't be too difficult, because it's whatever that plus is, and then you divide that out by the number of months that your annual pass is remaining, and you have a prorated amount for that, and then you have to renew. But you know, I don't see them doing a separate, like just getting an annual pass for Epic alone. Like, oh, I'm not going to get an annual pass for, Studios and Islands of Adventure. I'm just getting an AP for Epic. I don't see necessarily that happening. I do see them in some rolling way adding Epic into the annual pass for Universal. And again, it could be that, yes, they do some sort of rolling renewal and buy new, and then also a some sort of prorated add-on if you wish to do it at that time. But then when you renew, you're going to that new price point whether you like it or not.
It's also going to be interesting to see what happens with the ride and benefit aspect, because the top tier pass at Universal gets you Express After 4 for 1 ride per day. Do they allow that at Epic? I'm anxious to see if that's even going to be.
I don't see how they can't. But I mean, I don't know.
Well, right now you can't.
Well, right now you can't, because you don't have an annual pass, so you're just using a regular ticket. So I don't see how they want. I don't think it would be advisable for them. And Matt and Megan, tell me what you think as well. That it would be advisable to have Epic be treated differently than any of the other 2 parks once they get to the point of saying, okay, we're going to make that an annual pass park.
I think that with the expectations that weren't quite met, because the expectation you gave is not just a Disney problem, it's a Universal problem. It's everybody's problem, because all of them set really high standards.
Nice play on words there, Megan. Gotta give you credit.
And so now they're all faced with this. We expected epic things from Epic. Maybe not quite there. I think the price point is interesting to me. I agree with Chuck. I don't think the visual of 3 parks at $1,500 versus Disney's 4 parks at $1,500 is a good look for Universal. And again, because their park didn't completely live up to the hype, I think, just kind of letting that sit a little bit, bring down the overall average price of the other two parks. You know, hitting that like 1250, 1300. You know, just shave it off just a little bit. But 1500 for 3 versus 1500 at 4 down the street, it's not a good look. On the other hand, if they can get 1500 for 3, I worry about Disney and them going, can we get more for 4? Please. Oh my God.
Yeah, see, I thought 1250 was about the right number, and also there is this other piece, and we've talked about this for several weeks, actually months even, and it's kind of been in the rotation a little bit of, as Hawk has mentioned many times, theme park attendance overall is just generally declining. Is there a point, and maybe annual passes is that means by which, and again, if you're watching right now, jump into the conversation, share what you think. What do you think about annual passes, or maybe why you're not doing an annual pass right now? Granted, some of us are a little further away than Hawk, but anyway, is this an opportunity to say, we need to get some more APs, because APs are a cash cow, and they come into the parks and they do spend some money while they're there. There's a little bit of food and a little bit of this. Yes, we're probably not going to get hotels out of APs necessarily. Now, out of state APs like me, definitely you're getting hotels, because we're going to, for me, it's 12-hour drive. Yeah, I'm staying in a hotel. But, is there a thought of we need to bump up the locals side of this? And maybe we need to make a little bit of a better incentive for our APs to consider coming down, because if you're going to make an investment as an annual pass holder, you're planning to be here there obviously more than 1 or 2 or 3 times.
I have a question, because I haven't looked at APs in a while now. Are all of the offerings that Universal and or Disney that they had pre-COVID, are they all back on the board? Did all of them come back?
They've changed. They've changed the structure.
So in some version, they've
Disney, Disney essentially has brought back all the levels of passes that were there. Mm-hmm. They've renamed them, rebooted them a little bit, changed it up a little, and it's still, as of currently, out-of-staters can only buy the top tier pass. That still holds. Universal, I think you could buy any level pass from out of state. We always bought the top tier because we traveled during school vacation weeks, and those were often blocked out at the lower tiers. So we always had to have a top tier pass, because that's when I took my daughter to the parks. But I think Universal and SeaWorld have some pretty good perks with their annual pass, and Disney has given up a lot of what used to be a very perk-filled aspect of having your annual pass. There's a lot that isn't there anymore, and there's a lot of people. The discounts aren't as good. The sales, the room specials are so limited that a lot of people can't get in and get them. There's been a lot of stuff with that. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on the pass price, where we're headed with stuff, and what are your aspects and thoughts as an out-of-stater?
So something I was actually going to ask you, Hawk, because I'm not familiar with Universal. Do they still have an in-state discount essentially for the annual pass? I'm assuming they do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's be real cautious with in-state discount.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, but I'm being serious. Let's be careful with in-state discount, because the annual passes still often cost the same in-state or out-of-state. Okay. In-staters do wind up getting different benefits. Like with Disney, we can buy any tier pass. So, and we can do the payment plans, whereas if you're an out-of-stater, you do have to do everything at once when you purchase. You can also get discounts on renewal of your annual passes. But with Universal, you have to pay the pass off in full to get the 20% discount you would get by renewing your annual pass. With Disney, you can get the discount and still finance it for your renewal. But as in-state goes, those are generally more like in-state day ticket deals they push a lot, in-state hotel rooms. State residents can get better deals on rooms at times. It really depends what they're pushing. So it is dependent on a couple of things for sure.
Okay.
Because I always.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Megan.
No. Sorry. If you're going to do this first, I'll.
Well, I was going to say, so just everybody's talking about it. So these are the 4 passes that are offered by Universal: the 2-park seasonal pass, the 2-park power pass. You can go to 3-park as well, but for the purposes of what we're talking about, we are going to the 2 theme parks currently. And of course, just for disclosure again, Epic at this point is not included in this. But this shows you what a brand new pass will cost for each of the different annual passes that you have. And as you look down through, one of the interesting things, though, about the Premier Pass for Universal compared to Disney is down here towards the bottom, which is, well, not just that, but right down here. 1 free Halloween Horror Nights tickets for the Premier Pass. And it does, of course, include admission to special events, such as that, which all the other annual passes do. But it's this one right here. This is very interesting for a Premier Pass. Now, look at the price difference between the two. You're talking, $270 for one Halloween Horror Nights ticket. I guess the question then becomes, is that worth the price of admission, given that you do get also Universal Express after 4 p.m. That's the only one that gives you that as well, and you get, there are some restrictions to it again, and you get free parking, by the way.
You get 1 ride,
yep,
and you get valet parking with your Premier Pass, which is a very, very nice perk.
That's an attractive perk.
We do wind up spending more, to be honest, when we valet, because we tip. So, you're tipping at departure $10-20 or whatever. You're tipping the valets. So that does have some cost. Keep in mind, just like with Disney, some of the lower passes also don't cover parking. So
that is correct. Yeah. So,
you need to pay out of pocket for parking. You got to figure that out. Like we get the Premier Pass for us. We go enough that we don't want to pay to park. Having the valet aspect is fantastic. Universal has pretty good discounts. You can also get your discount at any of the food stands in Universal, as opposed to Disney, you can at quick service. And not even all sit down offers discounts. There are restaurants that do not offer the annual pass holder discount or other discounts. A lot of the third parties don't. So it is interesting when you start equating it out. I'm interested to see what they do with Epic, because Epic is still obviously very busy. People are still going. There's enough people that had booked to go experience the park. It is incredible if you have the good run. If you have a frustrating day, it's going to be a real frustrating day, because and I guess that's true at any park, but when you're limited to go to that park once on a 3-day ticket, or not have as much freedom to go to that park and check it out, if you have your one day, it's not like you just go back the next day and try again. So that you would have to go through guest services for and try to, give them a reasonable reason that you feel entitled to come back again. And they may take care of it.
And since we're talking about annual passes, just for comparison, Hawk, go ahead and pull this up, because I just pulled this. Notice something very interesting, Hawk. What don't you see here? This is the live from the Disney website right now in the annual pass page. What don't you see at all?
The fine print, because I can't read any.
Well, but the only thing that's available is the Disney Incredipass, which is their top tier pass. There are no Florida Pass options currently.
Well,
it's because you're logged in as yourself, Chuck, and you're not in state. They won't show up.
Oh, I am logged in. You're right. Let me sign out.
Yeah,
I'll bet you that is it.
Yeah.
Let me sign out and see if that changes it. Hold on. That's a good catch. I didn't see that, and so I didn't see the fact I was logged in. Nope, I'm not logged in now, and it's the same thing.
I would try a private browser.
You have to go in. From what I was told, you have to go in person to try to, like, they don't even, you can't even buy them online. So you have to go in person to the park.
For any of the like the Florida
Correct.
passes right now.
Yep. Well, it's been like that for a while because we had to go every time we've had to buy ours. We can't do it online.
So with the comparison of the annual passes and these annual passes that have the blackout dates and all of this, blackout dates, like Hawk said, being around the holidays and the school holidays and things. I don't know how it is in the 3 states that you all live in, but more and more of Texas public schools are going to 4-day school weeks, including the district that my kids are currently zoned for. That means that we have this year 24 Fridays. A few of them are attached to other holidays, but 24 Fridays where the students in our district do not have school throughout the school year. And it opens up the chance for people to travel for 3-4 nights. If they had annual passes, you could make a quick trip down to Disney. If you already, you're paying for the pass, hey, let's hop to Disney for a long weekend because we've got a Friday off. If more and more schools move in that way, is it possible that Disney and Universal are paying attention going, ooh, maybe we need a different level of annual pass because the blackout dates don't matter as much?
I don't think they're going to change the level of annual pass. I don't. And, that may be wrong, but I think they've done a lot of research over the years to have this pretty well established as to what works and what doesn't. People start to want perks. I think when you get into the conversation as a vacationer coming from out of state on when is the juice worth the squeeze to get the annual pass, right? They used to say 10 days. The first year we bought our annual passes back in 2015, passes were about $500 for the top tier. I mean, the first year we bought them, they were $380. Like it was ridiculously cheap. But I was able to use, and this is something a lot of people aren't aware of. You go to Disney 10 days for your first 10-day trip, and you absolutely fall in love with it, and you want to convert your tickets into annual passes, they will give you credit for the purchase price of your package tickets that you can apply to your annual pass as long as you get your annual pass prior to leaving from that trip. You cannot use all your tickets and then go say, I want to get an annual pass. You have to upgrade it while you have live tickets. But if you do that
still have some remaining value, yes.
Well, no, but if you are willing to go to an annual pass, they will backdate your annual pass.
No, that's correct. But I'm saying if you have a 5-day ticket, you can't use up all 5 days and then go say, hey, I want to go get it.
Correct. But if you have a 5-day park hopper and it's still active while you're there,
correct.
Even if it's your last day and you have an hour left, you can go to the ticket window and say, I'd like to upgrade these into an annual pass. They will backdate the date of the pass to your first day in park. They will apply that dollar amount to the cost of the annual pass, and then you're able to pay off the rest at that time and have your annual pass. That's the way we did it the first year because we didn't know annual passes were a thing. We were literally new to Disney. Someone told us, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm doing that. So we went and got it. Then you got a 20% discount the next year when you renewed, but their ticket prices went up 27%. So we paid more money. And then there were a couple years where they really climbed with some quickness from like 2015 to 2020. Costs really, the
AP price jumped up really, really fast.
Actually doubled.
Yeah.
And where we are now, we're in this position where that juice to be worth the squeeze, so to speak, is reconfiguring how many days do you need to be at Disney to be able to
And so the answer to that was between 3 and 4 days twice over a 12-month period. I said past tense. Between a 3-day to 4 days, and if you were doing 2 that.
We got it.
Right. Now, in fact, I just looked here. In fact, I'm on the Disney theme park site right now, and it's between a 4 and 5 day. And if you do 2 trips of 4 to 5 days per trip, to add those together.
That sounds short to me.
No. An adult ticket for 5 days with park hoppers, I mean, I got to add the park hopper, is $851.46 per ticket. So if you do that twice, 2 5 days.
But you're doing with the park hopper. Most people aren't looking at it like that.
But that's what an annual pass is. So therefore,
no. An annual pass allows you to park hop, yes. But most people going down, even with annual passes, there's a lot of people I know that only do one park a day when they come down. They don't have to park hop. I'm just saying, like, if you did it on the bare minimum, it's about 10 to 12 days now, like closer to 14 now, to justify the cost of getting the annual
still the
pass.
same. It's actually still 2 5 days. I'm at like a 10 plus ticket. Standard one park per day is $756. So if you do 2 5s, a 5 day and a 5 day in the 12-month span, then it's effectively an annual pass. So it's 5 days.
That's
even
10
with the standard tickets, right? But not a solid 10 days. A solid 10-day ticket by comparison is or somewhere around $900, quite $900.
So Chuck, you're kind of you're Chuckisming a little bit.
Well,
we used to go down on weekends, so we had to do 3-day trips. So we didn't have a 5-day trip; we had 3-day trips. And if you did it at 3-day trips, it starts getting, you would have to be justifying a lot of more days. Like it gets longer and longer. So it does get
you
tough.
would have to do 3 of those trips.
Correct.
3-day trips. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a 3-day park pass is $529.02 currently.
But you also
that's at an estimate. Again, remember these are varying days, but yeah.
You're digging real into the mathematical side, because you've also got to remember, as a pass holder, you get room discounts, you get retail discounts, you get food discounts. So when you start figuring that out too, it does bring that number down a little bit. You start to be able to save some money. You can justify it, and you can definitely make it worth your while. But if you're not the multiple trip person, it could cost you more money. And at that point, you've really got to make sure you're going to use it. I mean, we go 100 days a year. We get our money out of it. We are there.
You don't have to pay anything for a hotel in the meantime.
No, we don't. And Megan, we don't have to eat there.
Yeah, and the last time, and that's kind of been the last time that I looked for my family of 4 with my kids as they turned 3, and we would have to buy them tickets. When it came all out with all the math thing, and granted, math was never I taught English, y'all. Math was not my thing, but for us to make it worthwhile, because we're jumping. I'm not 12 hours from Disney. I'm like 14 to 15, and I've got kids, so like 17 to 18. So I'm not driving. Planes, hotels, even with a discount, you're still spending way more than that $1,500 you paid for. Food in the parks, all the things. We would have to spend as a family of 4 at least 15 days in the park. And we can't do the super long trips because, my husband works for a living, and he only gets so much time off. And I think if I told him every single day had to be spent at a Disney park, he might start turning on me. He loves Disney, but probably not that much. Like it was a lot longer. Like I would have to go so many more times, so many more days for all 4 of us for it to be worth all of the time and the expense outside of the park tickets. So yeah, I think, I love the idea that you spend 10 days in the park and you get your money back, but there's a lot more for people who are out of state.
It's not that you get your money back. It's not that you get your money back, Megan, but it becomes a value proposition, right? It's like
it pays for itself, as it were.
It pays for itself in a sense.
In a concept.
But here's another thing I used to when I was a travel agent. This is one of the things I used to suggest to families too. Universal had great pass holder perks, like fantastic. One person buy the top tier pass. That person gets you to park at the parks for free. That person gets in. They get their discounts for food and other things. Families don't have to buy annual passes for everybody. In your case, you like to sneak away when your husband doesn't. Sometimes he sends you to Disney on your own, Megan. Come on. Like, you're like, honey, I think it's time the annual pass gets made its way right to this hand. Let's get it done.
As my kids get older and I can leave them for longer periods of time because it's easier for David to handle them on himself or for my parents to kick in. Oh, definitely. I'm starting to look for the age where I can go, ooh, I'm getting one just for me because I can make it work now.
But I used to have clients on long trips that would be able to take advantage of that and save the difference of what that extra few $100s might be for a ticket package for them for a 10-day trip or something else, especially those folks that are doing 10, 14 days coming from out of country. Like if you save 20% on every meal on a 2-week stay at Disney or a 2-week stay at Universal, you are definitely saving more than a couple $100 if you're feeding a family of 4. You're going to probably pay half your ticket cost back. So in that case, there are some worthwhile things. So weigh it out. Be a mathematician like Chuck and play every angle and get it down to the penny like that CPA.
Well, again, the whole point, and this is it's not complicated math. It's actually very simple math, and the fact that if you know you're going to be going for an extended period, we're talking 2 weeks, okay? At that point, then an AP definitely becomes very, very profitable because, frankly, more than the tickets, it's that AP hotel discount. Because you're looking, especially if you're staying on property, and especially if you were doing deluxe, oftentimes, well, I shouldn't say oftentimes, but it is not uncommon, I'll put it that way, that an AP discount could be 25, 30, 35% off. I mean, it can be quite considerable. Now you take that 25 to 35% off times 10, 11, 12, that's a lot of money saved right there.
And Universal's generally friendlier with the discount than Disney is. You generally do save more money at Universal. And again, partially because they don't restrict where you use your discount. It's all the stores, all the food, all that. Like it's every time you're purchasing something, you're getting a few bucks off. Well,
and a Disney annual pass they've gotten better at, there's a lot of discounts that are out there. A lot of retail is out there. Most of your sit down dining is out. I think APs get discounts on counter service, don't they, at Universal?
At Universal?
Do APs get counter service discount at Universal? That's what I thought they did. Yeah.
Yeah. It's at anywhere.
Right.
They take your discount anyway.
Yeah, at Disney you're getting.
Disney, you have to do sit down.
Yeah, you have to do table service.
And table service has multiple locations that still don't offer it.
There are a few. Yep, there are definitely a few. But if you are going multiple times a year, and again within a 12-month period, that's when you start to look at that breakdown. And if you think you're going twice a year, 5 days becomes your break. If you think you're going 3 times a year, 3 days per trip becomes that break-even option just for the ticket price alone to consider an annual pass. And again, we're talking about the Incredipass, the top tier pass that at current price is $1,549 plus tax. And you got to remember that plus tax, because it will kick it well over $1,600 by the time you are doing tax as well. Hey folks, if you are listening, come join in the conversation. It is open mic night. We've been having a great conversation talking about annual passes at both Walt Disney World and over at Universal. But this is your night. What are the things that you want to talk about? What topics do you have? And things that you want to chat at. So be sure to pop into the chat either on Facebook or on YouTube and let us know what you want to talk about. All right, Hawk, you also said let's get to know you. All right, so Hawk, on your first trip, okay, and thinking back to that very first trip in 1836, so
it was swampy in Orlando.
It was a little bit swampy and a little bit wet. I mean, the mosquitoes were all over the place.
Routine. You want to know what my beard care routine is? Stick it under the shower, rub a little soap on it, rinse it off, get out.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's about it. I tried the gel. I tried the creams. That's too much work. Hawk's lazy in the morning.
Yeah. Brian says, Hawk's beard care routine. So there you go. See, now we're getting going here. That's right. Keep asking those questions, folks.
But you were saying first trip in 1836.
Your first trip in 1836, you have to go back and do one attraction. You get to go back and hop into the TARDIS Sorry, it's a Doctor Who reference for those who don't know. Hop into the TARDIS and go back and experience one attraction on your very, very first trip. What are you hopping back to?
Given the fact that that would have been in 1986. Okay, I went in 1974. I was 2. I'm not going back to that one because I don't remember it. But I do remember going with my parents in 1986. I remember renting the little motorboats at the Polynesian and thinking those were the best things since sliced bread. And I never wanted to. I didn't even go to the parks. I was like, just leave me the credit card and I'm just sit out here and play in a boat all day. I was good with that. But if I had to go back, I think I would have been more adventurous because I was actually really scared of rides as a kid. I was very timid when it came to amusement park rides. And I'd have probably done like Space Mountain or Big Thunder, just a ride that I was a little too intimidated to even at 14 years old. I was just like, that's not my thing. So, I'd go back and have done some more adventurous rides. So I'd say Space Mountain.
Well, this is not what you would have done. This is you have to go back and redo what you did do. So what are you going back to do that you did do back then? You have to relive it.
I'd be stealing a boat in the lake.
Okay, so you're stealing a boat.
I'm going out, but I want
in
like
the Seven Seas Lagoon.
Boat. I want like a nice boat.
He's back in the paddle boat because again you got to relive it.
I don't want to do the little steamship authority. I'm not riding one of the ferries. I'm not riding one of the little boats that goes 5 miles an hour. I want the one that the guys are running around and the security personnel like zipping across. That's
Now this is like Quantum Leap. You're leaping back into your past, so you have to relive it. So, all right, Megan, you're doing Quantum Leap and you're leaping back into the past. Brian says that Lincoln, his 8-year-old, just crossed off.
That's Matt.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Matt. Sorry, wrong one. That's Matt. Sorry, Matt. My fault, Matt. Lincoln, our 8-year-old, just crossed off Everest, Tron, and Space Mountain this past trip. Well done.
Good,
That's really cool for an 8-year-old to handle. Tron very fast. Granted, short but fast. Everest. Yeah, I'm impressed with Everest because Everest is kind of it's an intense attraction, especially as you get to the top and you're doing that backwards portion.
Especially at night.
Oh yeah.
If you've never done Everest at night, go do it at night. It's literally twice as intense.
Yep. Now, if the Yeti ever worked, that would be a whole different ballgame, but that would make it even more intense. So, all right. So, Megan, you are hopping in, and it's Quantum Leap.
It's actually in Nepal.
Huh?
It's in Nepal.
I know it's in.
Not intense.
Folks, Hawk is attempting a bad joke that just didn't even land. All right, Megan.
I'm going to go back and I'm going to ride Mr. Toads as a kid. Back from, let's see, my first trip was 1988, I think. 88, 89. I don't know. I was really young. I was 4. 88. I think it was 89. It was right before my 5th birthday. But I still remember that. My brother and I still talk about riding toward the train at the end of that ride. And I've ridden it out of Disneyland. But my brother and I have this it's one of those things that, as a collective, you remember things differently than they actually were. You can't figure out what was real or not. We have this conversation where the two of us remember there being 2 different endings, one where you get hit by the train and one where you don't. My mother says it was the same the whole time, and we argue. I don't know. I just know that the train part was always our favorite, and that's why I love riding it over and over again. And then as an adult, understanding what's actually happening in that ride is fascinating and is fun for all new reasons. I rode it with a friend of mine when I went in July, and she was totally cool with it. And then you get to the part where you actually go to hell, and she looks at me, she goes, "What is this?" I mean, she was just completely taken aback. I love that ride. I will always love that ride.
There you go. All right, so Megan is making all of the folks happy because she is bringing back Mr. Toad. R.I.P. Mr. Toad. Remember that you can pay your respects to Mr. Toad in the Haunted Mansion Pet Cemetery up on the hill at the out in the exit part of Haunted Mansion. All right, Matt, you're hopping into the Quantum Leap Accelerator and you're leaping back into your previous self in your very, very first trip to Walt Disney World. What attraction or experience are you doing that you did as your first one?
I'm bringing back another ride, and I'm bringing back Maelstrom at Epcot. Before it turned into Frozen, that was the attraction, and I loved it. Vague memories of Epcot, but yeah, that ride compared to Frozen, I will take Maelstrom any day.
So you're what year were you roughly was your first?
2000, I think.
Around 2000. So Maelstrom definitely around. So he would not be the first to pass this way. Tom says that he would love to experience the original Journey into Imagination again with Figment, and of course with our great friend Dreamfinder. And I'm right there with Tom. I'd love to see Dreamfinder back.
So Chuck,
Yes.
If you went back to the first time,
Yes. So
after you and Moses split the Seven Seas Lagoon and crossed it, what would you?
Well, so yeah, here we go. Chris says, I'm jumping back to use the Disney dining plan the way it used to be in the 90s. Everything was included. Here.
Yes.
I will echo that and say
that
not
price
just
point,
yes,
please.
but
That's
absolutely
Matt
yes.
again.
Matt, I'm sorry. I keep saying Chris. Sorry, Matt. I don't know why I keep saying Chris.
Brian, Matt, you're having an identity crisis.
I am.
Apologize
Matt.
to your wife for us.
Yeah. I don't want to sit there and say, married to a Disney addict says. It's Matt. I'm trying to remember. Sorry about that. We got new folks joining us as well. I love it. So, yeah, Matt says definitely. And I'll tell you what, I would totally agree with that. That was back when the dining plan was actually, like, seriously a good thing.
It wasn't even question. It was just, yes,
get the dining plan.
And bring back tables. We've talked about it a couple
Please
times.
bring back Tables in Wonderland.
Bring back tables in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend the extra money. It is worth it.
Just bring back Tables in Wonderland, please.
My family did the Disney dining plan one of the first years that it was offered, and there was a morning, we were on day like 4 or 5. My brother sits up in bed and he looks at my mom and he goes, "How much do I have to eat today?" Because there was just so much food.
Yeah, you ate like you ate like a king or queen back then. I mean, it was big time.
We stood behind a couple I thought it was really cool. We stood behind a couple in Magic Kingdom one of the first years. I brought Tegan down, and they had 28 snacks left on their meal plan. And they literally stood at a cart and got kids. Every kid that came up to get in line, they got the snack for them 28 times.
That's awesome. That's a cool way to pay it forward.
And I loved seeing it, and families were so excited, and even the cast members doing it were super excited about it.
Wow. Matt says V&A's, Victoria and Albert's, was part of it when he went. Oh, wow. I forgot the fact that V&A's was included. It's definitely not included in the dining plan now. Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right, so I'm hopping into the Quantum Leap Accelerator, jumping into, for those who don't know, Quantum Leap, great show from the 80s. They tried to do a reboot back in the 2000s, too bad, but great show from the 80s. It was a lot of fun. So I'm hopping into the Quantum Leap Accelerator, and I'm going back in time and to my very first visit. This would be it's either 76 or 77, but I want to say it's 77. I would be 6 years old at that point. And I am going to Tomorrowland, and I am on If You Had Wings. And I'll tell you why. We loved If You Had Wings. This is back in the day when there was actually ticket books. Hawk remembers the ticket book days, maybe barely. There were ticket books, and the whole point of, if you hear today an attraction referenced as an e-ticket attraction, that was because you had to get an e-ticket. There were A tickets, A attractions, B attractions, CD and all that. But If You Had Wings, though, if I remember correctly, was non-ticketed, meaning because it was sponsored by Eastern Airlines, you could just go on as often as you wanted. So we did If You Had Wings all the time. And I can remember Matt says, I'm going back to see that Barbie show in Epcot. There you go. I can remember If You Had Wings, there was one point where, of course, now If You Had Wings is where Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin was. It's getting redone as we speak. But there was one point where I remember, and it was at the long straightaway currently in Buzz Lightyear, if you remember where the spaceship is that's swirling around, and you've got the swirling stars and all that mess. So that was some sort of flight or whatever, and you tipped way back like this in your seat, like you were taking off in the jet plane. And again, as a 6-year-old, I thought that was the coolest effect ever. So
that was a great ride. I loved the music. It was sponsored by Delta, I think, by the first time that
it was at that point. It became Delta Dream Flight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it changed from If You Had Wings to Delta Dream Flight.
I love it. I may have to go find the soundtrack for that after this. I loved that ride and that music.
It was a lot of fun, and that was a really cool trip. And again, it was cool because it was a free attraction. Again, you didn't have to have a ticket book. That was back in the days when ticket books were around. So,
what would be the best perk that you have felt Disney or Universal offered that you wish was still around? What like so you know,
AP perk or just in general?
what's that?
AP annual pass perk or just in general?
No. Like
just in general.
Any perk of going to Disney or Universal that you remember.
Chris, by the way, said, I'm sorry, Matt. I keep saying Chris. I don't know why. Matt says no one wants to do the Inner Space Body Wars ride. Oh, okay. Well, that is going back a little bit.
And I want Matt to put in the chat what his beard care is, because his beard is far more epic than mine. So I'm curious if Matt knows some good products. Maybe you can recommend something for my own beard care, but I struggle with laziness in the morning. I would like a night gel or rinse if you know one. So
I thought Hawk was like me and looking for something to actually take care of the stuff up top, but that's another story.
No, I gave up on that. I started putting
Matt says Dole Whip.
Put money into hats over hair. That's it. Like that's it. It's hats over haircuts now. I spend money on hats, not on haircuts.
There you go. Matt says he uses Dole Whip, so just get a little sticky on there and you'll be good.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. All right. So a perk that was but is no more.
Something you wish Disney would bring back that was a perk. Because Matt really nailed that with free dining the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
That really nailed that one. But that got me thinking, what would you bring back?
You know, I realize this was not a perk for everybody that came down, but the moment where I always thought, hey, I've made it, I'm at Disney, was getting on the Magical Express at the airport and not having that. And again, being taken back to the airport, the videos playing, the music playing. That was the moment that was the beginning and the end of every trip for me as a kid. And I miss that.
Are they still doing that for those select resorts?
No. Magical Express is not around anymore. If you are looking for an airport shuttle, you are booking Mears or somebody else.
You can do the deluxe resorts now have minivans, right?
Yeah, but you're paying for it.
Well, yeah, it's not included.
Hey, but there was talk that they were bringing back a Magical Express type bus service.
I have not seen anything like that.
So I'm curious. Like I think that will eventually find its way back.
We'll see. That was, of course, the loss of Magical Express was a COVID cut. And I don't know, Hawk, I'm not so sold on that one. I don't know that Magical Express will be coming back. Because remember, they did that through contract with Mears. I mean, that's how that was done. Mm-hmm. And now Mears says, we're doing our own thing. There's no way Mears is going to give it up. I'm with Megan, actually. When you said that, I really kind of do like Magical Express. So Matt says
that's a great point.
Yeah, Matt's you'll pull that up. The crazy perks you got when you bought into DVC back in the day. We met like owners who got cruises and stuff. He got a drawstring backpack. There was a lot of swag back then. It was back when DVC was. What's that?
I got a bounce check when I tried to buy DVC.
Yeah, everybody asked me, why didn't you get DVC? Because I never had $36,000 in spare change. But I am actually kind of with Megan. I do think I would say Magical Express. I think that was it was a really big perk. And I had folks who intentionally would fly into Orlando, into MCO, specifically because they got Magical Express, as opposed to flying a discount airline like Allegiant or something like that and going to Sanford.
Quality bounce backs. Like the bounce backs used to be far more impressive. And now they're hey, Danny, I know why you're
Hey, Danny, welcome.
Danny's at the parks. So I got to give Danny a little shout out for free Fast Pass. That's a good one, Matt.
Yeah.
But Danny is spending the week down in the parks. I'm actually meeting up with Danny. I'm going to share a picture on next week's episode because I'm meeting up with Danny on Thursday. He is down enjoying a little solo action without the kids.
Ooh.
Enjoying some time down at the parks. And I don't know how he got away with this. I'm anxious to hear the story. But he is down in Disney, and I'm going to catch up with him and make sure we enjoy it. I've actually got 2 friends in town this week that are at Disney. A friend from Maine that I grew up with is also down here spending time with family.
Hawk, how did you arrange? You only have 2 friends as it is.
I know. I fake it to make it. I tell them I'm going to give them my pass holder discount and come over and have dinner with them. So
there you go.
We try to.
Yeah, so Danny is here. Danny, welcome and join us. Glad to have you here. So we've been talking a lot about it. So again, as we kind of wrap up our thoughts here, what do you guys all think? So folks,
I want to hear from Danny on this one. Danny might have missed the question.
Yeah, so go ahead.
If you could bring back any perk of Disney from your times going to Disney that no longer exists, what would you bring back? And, there was talk of the Magical Express, free Fast Pass, the DVC perks when you bought in, the bounce back quality meal plan. That was the other one when the dining plan was actually worth the dough. That's a great one.
Without having to strategize. For our last trip where we did dining plan, I spent hours at home poring over menus and going, okay, this is what we're ordering because this drink is $17 versus that $14 one. And this entree is $36 versus $26. Oh, I spent so much time to make sure we got our money's worth, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was
eat seafood.
That's right. It was a lot of effort. And again, depending on how you use the dining plan, for today's dining plan, it can be a good option, or it might not be, but it all depends on how you use it. So
kids, never mind what you like. You will eat what's most expensive.
Hey, my son orders the most expensive thing anyway, so he's a done deal. The only thing
really
he's young, he has to order off the kids' menu.
So, well, folks, we hope you've had this is open mic night. We do this every second Tuesday of the month here live on Mousecast. And by the way, Danny says it always works for his family. That's awesome. Yes, the meal plan was a great option there. So we encourage you to join us. And by the way, we're live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. And remember, coming up in just 2 weeks, our 4th Tuesday of the night, the last Tuesday of the month, is game night. And so we're working on a fun game for you coming up. We will have another show coming up next week as well. Again, share out the fact that you are listening to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Tell them how much fun you enjoyed, how much fun you had being here on open mic night. And encourage others to join us. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of people here in the conversation and talking about a whole bunch of different things.
A special shout out tonight to Mike, Chris, Brian.
Yeah, a special shout out to the multiple personalities that are, Hawk's never going to let me down. Matt, you realize that you now have something. Hawk's just going to hold over me every week now. Whenever you're on, he's going to hold that over top of me. So
it's okay, Chris. Don't worry about it.
Well, it's his. Chris, Matt, I'm going to finally let it out because that's the law firm that we have. It's the law firm of Matt, Chris, whatever, and Brian and all that. So that's actually our law firm. So who's representing us right now? So Matt, I'm sorry, I didn't want to give away your anonymity there, but Matt's actually our lawyer who's been keeping an eye on us this whole time for Mousecast for 89 episodes now. So Matt, we appreciate your legal services. So there we go. Folks, again, you've been joining Mousecast. This is the podcast where the mind meets the magic. We're live at 8:30 every Tuesday night. And so until next time, we'll see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's it's time. Now it's cast, now says goodnight. Next week we will have new things to see.